Hi, this is Inflectra. I'm Alexei. Let's briefly go over new features in Rapise 6.4. 6.4 is mostly maintenance and stability release with lots of bugs fixed, although it has some new features that are worth to be demonstrated. Some of you may already noticed new Rapise documentation site. In Rapise 6.4, we have new updated help system. In the release notes section, you may see that we have plenty of fixes available inside 6.4. And now we're going to just cover part of them. As for the new help system, what you need to note is that top menu hides when you scroll down to save screen space. And if you want to select some top section, you just need to scroll to the beginning and then you have access to the top menu. We keep improving test framework support, and here are some features from this area. We made it easier to work with subtests. Now, one may easily clone a subtest using the Clone context menu. For example, I plan to add a create invoice scenario. In many cases, this approach is faster and more convenient than a previous way of using create subtest, because you may have some predefined configurations already made in this template, so cloning it is a faster way to have pre-configured subtests in the framework. Another useful feature is rename. So if I see that my name is not sufficient for my purpose, I may simply edit it and the name of subtest will be changed right here. We want to make it easier to add or insert roles in RVL. One more interesting feature related to roles is role insertion. For example, I want to add a command to wait for logout button to show up before this action. So I need an empty row here. So previous approach was to press add row to insert it. Now I may do it easier. So if I am in one of the cells within this row and I hit Shift and Enter, new line is inserted after current line. So this is an easy way to insert line and then type a command. Now I'm typing a command. For example, I want to wait for logout button. And while still here, if I simply press enter, I'm moved to the cell under current one. But if I have Shift K pressed, then it would insert next argument for the do wait for, and I may specify additional option. So it moves me to the param name cell within the next row, and I may choose next parameter, which is timeout. It's automatically inserted, and if I again press Shift and Enter, I am suggested the next parameter, sleep time if not found. So this makes it easier to insert code inside existing RVL code. Sometimes you have many RVL files in the framework, and we are also working on making it more convenient to work with. We enabled drag and drop operation to insert RVL file execution code. For example, in this test, we have subtest with another RVL, and we want to execute it somewhere between line 11 and 12. So what I may now do, I may simply select it and drop on the line 11 and corresponding RVL DoPlayScript is inserted here. So this one will execute this RVL sheet before doing click on the login. The same logic now works with JavaScript. So if I want to execute some RVL script from JavaScript code, I may again drag and drop it to the corresponding line, and the statement is inserted that executes this RVL sheet. When we can, we try to make RVL syntax shorter. We noticed that for the range type of map, last 4 parameters usually left with default values. So in version 6.4, we made them optional. Also, if you define a new map of type range, only first 2 required parameters are pre-filled. If you still want to define additional range parameters, you may use params button as usual and specify the values. Let me show you why we enabled Excel types in RVL maps. Sometimes we want to have typified data in the maps in RVL. For example, here we have a map of users where we have name, isadmin flag, and age. Isadmin is used in this if statement to check, and then we check that the administrator has age at least 20 years old. Checking the flag isadmin is done by comparing it to the true boolean value. But in RVL editor, all values typed in the map are assumed to be text or string values, even these numbers and true false statements. So if we just execute this code, we see that no assertion has been performed because we didn't enter into this if statement body, because this condition is not satisfied and isadmin is not true, although it has a true string value. So no assertion were performed. So to make this condition working properly and make this comparison working properly, we need to convert this to true Excel value and this to be a number value rather than the string value. So the age would be a number. We may do it by closing the RVL sheet and opening it in a different way. We have opened a spreadsheet context menu. And in the spreadsheet mode, we may see that all values are left aligned. This is how Excel displays text values. If I simply hit F2 to start editing and hit enter, my value gets automatically converted. This is default behavior of Excel, and it's now true uppercase, which means that Excel converted it to its internal checkbox value. So I do this for all cells that needs to have proper type here. So you see that numbers are currently right aligned. So these are true numbers and these are Boolean values. Now I'm simply saving this script, closing it and opening it back in RVL editor. You may be noticed that true and false Boolean values are now displayed a bit differently. This is because RVL editor renders true checkbox values in this way. Now, if I play this sheet, I may see that my assertion has been performed and check has been done and it's passed. I may double check myself by changing this value here to make allowed age to be, for example, 30 years old and play again. Now I may see that assertion failed because 25 is less than 30. Although if I want to work with this data and I want to change values inside typified cells, I still need to use Open as Spreadsheet while having the RVL closed. So sometimes this is a useful approach for making typified data and scripts like this one. And this approach is available since Rapise 6.4. And just a couple more things. Starting from 6.4, you may launch Rapise Launcher right from Rapise. It's available from Tools, Rapise Launcher menu. Also, sometimes you have support session with Rapise Automation team. Support session is scheduled using GoToMeeting and you receive meeting ID. To have full-featured support where we may move your mouse and help to interact with your application, you need to connect in a special way, and we provide it from here. So you may find it using Help, Remote Assistance, then type the meeting ID that we sent you and press OK. So the meeting will be started in a special way that it will enable all support options that we may provide.